All right, let's dive into a classic story about power, pride, and the spectacular fall that can happen when you have way too much of both. We're talking about the tale of the Naked King.
So, right off the bat, you have to ask yourself, how does this even happen? How does the most powerful man in the entire kingdom end up stripped of all his dignity every single day? Well, believe it or not, it didn't start with a war or a rebellion. It all started with a single arrogant insult. Let's get into it.
So first up, let's meet our main character, King Jang Bahadur. Now, he was the ruler of the kingdom of Yearpur, but he was also ruled by something else, a really deep insecurity. And this really gets to the heart of the whole problem. You see, the king himself was, well, he was pretty scrawny. And to keep anyone from ever pointing that out, he developed this nasty habit of making fun of everyone else's body first. It was this cruel defense mechanism, and it was about to lead to a really, really bad encounter with a visiting Brahmin.
So this wise Brahmin shows up at the palace, ready to offer some knowledge to help the kingdom. But instead of listening to a word he had to say, the king just bursts out laughing. Not at the man's wisdom, but at his belly. He actually told the Brahmin he should keep it covered up. Just a deeply humiliating thing to say. And that one moment of pure mockery, yeah, that was about to change everything. The king's arrogance pushed the Brahmin to do something he could have never, ever imagined. And there it is, the curse. The Brahmin completely insulted lays it all out. He says, "Every day when you wake up, you will find yourself naked in the middle of your city." He makes it crystal clear. It doesn't matter where you sleep, what you're wearing, nothing. You will wake up to this same public shame day after day.
So what does the king do? He laughs it off. He doesn't take it seriously for a second. To him, it's just the angry ramblings of some old man he just insulted. He literally just orders his dinner, goes to bed, totally confident that he's safe and sound behind his palace walls. He had no idea what was coming.
And of course, the very next morning, the king wakes up. But he's not in his comfy royal bed. Nope. He's on the cold, hard ground, with his own subjects just staring at him. He is exactly where the Brahmin said he would be, in the middle of the city square, without a single thing on. And the crazy part? His own people don't even recognize him. They just see this skinny, naked guy yelling for his guards, and someone in the crowd says, "Hey, this guy looks like a madman." They think he's just some random vagrant. In a single night, he's gone from being their king to being a public nuisance.
Now, even after being totally humiliated, the king is still arrogant. He refuses to believe this is out of his control. So he decides he's going to fight this magical curse with good old-fashioned worldly power. And this kicks off a series of totally desperate and frankly doomed attempts. He basically comes up with a 3-step plan to beat this thing. First, he'll use his military. When that fails, he'll try personal loyalty. And for the grand finale, just brute physical force. You can just feel the desperation growing with each attempt. So, night 1 of the plan. He surrounds his bedroom with his absolute best guards, orders them not to let him out of their sight. But it's completely useless. He wakes up yet again on the cold ground of the city square. His guards, they're back at the palace with no idea he's even gone. All right, so the guards were a bust. Plan B. He grabs his poor, terrified minister and forces him to sleep in the same bed, physically holding his hand the entire night. The king's logic is, hey, if someone's literally holding on to me, I can't be magically transported, right? Wrong. He wakes up, you guessed it, alone and naked in the square. This brings him to his final, most extreme plan. He's thinking, if human guards can't do it, and human contact can't do it, I'm going to have to rely on cold, hard iron. He actually calls a blacksmith to chain him, physically bind him to his own bed with these thick, heavy chains. He's convinced that no curse can possibly break through solid metal. But, while the king is busy with his failed experiments, something else is happening. His daily appearances in the town square are starting to fundamentally change his relationship with his own people. At first, people are just confused and annoyed. You can see the quote here. They're thinking, this madman is back again. Didn't we just have him arrested yesterday? They still don't realize it's their king. To them, he's just this weirdo who keeps showing up every morning. But then, and this is where it gets really wild, the shock wears off and this bizarre new routine starts to form. The townspeople not only figure out who he is, they start waiting for him. They bring him tea in the morning. "Here, Your Majesty, have some tea. We were all just standing here waiting for you."
His daily humiliation becomes this normalized, almost sad public event. You see, the curse was doing so much more than just taking his clothes. It was stripping him of his power. The fear and awe that he used to command, gone. It's been replaced with pity. People stop approaching him with respect. Instead, they start coming up to him with their daily complaints, like he's just some local official they can bother in the square. And all of this leads us to the final morning, the morning where the king's humiliation and his understanding of it would finally, totally be complete. So, after being chained to his bed, the king wakes up feeling pretty good. He's still in bed. He thinks, I did it. I beat the curse. But then he hears cheering. He opens his eyes and sees the ultimate shame. The curse didn't just take him. It took the bed and the chains too. He is now a public spectacle, literally chained to the symbol of his own power and failure. And that's it. That's his breaking point. He is completely defeated, shamed, and helpless. And he finally lets go of his pride. He screams for his minister, find that Brahmin. This curse will only end when he ends it. I will beg for his forgiveness. He finally gets it. Only humility can save him now. But here's the final, tragic twist. It's too late. The minister comes back and says the Brahmin left the kingdom ages ago. He's nowhere to be found. And so the king is just left to his fate. The story ends with him sitting on his throne, not even bothering with clothes anymore. Because what's the point? He's lost everything. His dignity, his power, and any hope of ever getting them back. And that really leaves us with one last question to think about. The king thought that iron chains could save him. But the truth is, he was already bound by something much, much stronger. His own arrogance. It really makes you wonder, which chains are the hardest to break?